Hey, everybody. So I decided as part of the launch and the ramp up to Freedom coming out and closing out the Dragon Master trilogy, sob, I would show you guys what it's like to get edits back from my editor, Catherine. Now, Catherine and I have done an interview together. You guys will see that on my website and on my Facebook. It's really interesting. She talks about my weaknesses as a writer and how she helps me make beautiful books. But I wanted to show you exactly what an edited file looks like. Not a lot of people get to see this side of a book production, and it's really kind of cool. So when I send it to Catherine, I usually work in a program called Scrivener, and I'll show you that another time. It's kind of a big program, but I put it in a Microsoft Word document here, and I send this to her. I send this at for line edits at the point when I've had beta readers read it. I've had readers from my email list that I trust read it, and I've gotten a lot of feedback, and I'm really confident in the book. And then I send it to her, and I try to get it as full as possible. So I even have the dedication here. I have the author's note at the very end. What I'm going to show you is just like the prologue, like the first chapter here for Sana. I've already given that away as a prequel or like a sneak peek, so I'm not too worried about any spoilers here. As you can see, she works with something called track changes in Microsoft Word. That's where whenever she makes a change, it marks it here and it shows it over here. So what I can do when I have these edits is I can hit that little check mark and it accepts that change. Or if I were to hit this X, it would be like, okay, she doesn't want that change, and she'll close it. Now you can see a lot of what Catherine does is maybe changing the way I say something a little bit. She's making the lines flow better. She adds this and right here. I said originally this was feeling as if she stirred a grave, but she changed it to were stirring a grave. Now for Catherine, a lot of this is either stylistic or she's trying to make it flow better and read better. Since I've looked at this book for the last year and I've been writing it for so long, I'm really not that objective about it, right? I've seen it too much, and I trust Catherine with all of my books. She has edited, she's line edited every single one of the books I've put out. She's phenomenal at it, and I trust her implicitly. So really, technically what we would do is we would go through here, I would go through here, read it, and accept or reject any changes. For me, however, that's not very time efficient because as you can see, there's a lot of changes that come along with it. So, see right here, she has a comment where she says, higher up on the page, it says that she just stepped into the biggest house. So right here, I'm saying, Sana says, let's go in here. This is the biggest one. But Catherine points out, she's like, you already said that up here in the first house they went in. So she calls to my mind things that I've gotten wrong or double written or things that I need to change for consistency's sake. What I tend to do a lot is have characters sitting down and then stand up, but then all of a sudden they're sitting down, or they're sitting down and then they walk out without standing up. I kind of get positions wrong sometimes, or someone's standing near a table and then they're standing across the room by the fireplace without having moved. Catherine's really great about those details. She has a very extraordinary mind to keep track of those kinds of things. So when I send these edits to her, she also has copies of my first and second book. She does a lot of fact checking for me. So when I get these edits back, I typically have a couple days to go through it and turn it around, and then I send it back to a separate editor that works with Catherine to do proofreading and copy edits. Some people do these line edits and copy edits together, but I like to separate them out just to make sure that we're really not introducing any more errors as I'm going through and approving. And then what I do is, it's not very efficient for me to go through each and every little thing, which I used to do, but I don't anymore. What I do now is I just go to accept all changes in the document. And as you can see, it'll take a second to do it all, but all of these will disappear except for comments that she made. See, they're all gone. Every change that she made, I accepted. And then what I do is I just start reading back through it. To be honest, most of the changes that she's made, I'm not even going to notice. Like, I wouldn't have remembered that I put she stirred a grave, right? I'm not going to notice that. And I trust her because she's a really good editor. So what I do is then I just read back through this. And if there are details missing that I remembered and are missing and I want them back, I just put them back in. If there's something that I feel like that's not worded quite right, sometimes I'll go back and check, but for Freedom, I didn't have to do that. For the most part, Catherine has a really great objective mind that's outside of mine, and she really helps me make my book look beautiful. When I first started writing, I had a really hard time with this. Like, I thought, well, it's not my book anymore if someone else has come in and changed it and edited it. But I have to say that ever since I kind of went through my first and second books doing this, I can see how it would be crazy for me to release a book that hasn't been professionally edited by another person. It wouldn't be a very good experience for you, wouldn't be very fun for me. And I love that she helps me really find the purpose of my book. My book started out as 114,000 words when I sent it to her, and she got it down to something like 107 or 105. I ended up adding another scene or two and a few other things in the book, but we're still the lower word count. But now it's just a tighter, better, easier to read book. And she also proofed it for me in terms of she found some mistakes that I made or things I double spoke about or I said wrong and mistakes that I was able to fix. So thanks to Catherine, you now have a beautiful book to read. And thanks to Stephanie, it will be proof edited and ready to go so you aren't distracted by errors. Of course, there's always errors. I see errors in every single book I've ever read, even traditionally published books. But we work really hard to make sure this is as clean as possible. And then I have my launch team read it. And if they find any mistakes, I go back through and I fix the ebooks and paperbacks so we can get rid of every single error that we can find. So we work really hard to make this an amazing book for you. Hopefully this was a fun insight and you liked it. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email or leave a comment. You guys are awesome.